Max Holmes for Geelong Cats here. I was very fortunate enough to get the chance to talk to Lockie and Harper again for part 2 of their podcast series. And we basically just spoke all things footy this season as a part of Geelong and where to now going into next year. So hope you all enjoy. Cheers.
Boys, I've got to say, I feel like I'm in the presence of royalty tonight. I'm not going to tell you which one of you is making me feel that way, but what I will say is that I'm very, very excited for this Class of 2020 episode and to welcome back to the show, Max Holmes. How are you, man?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back onto the show. Obviously, a few more games under your belt since we last spoke,
yes.
Mate. How are you going?
Yeah, thanks for that. Going well. Good to have the season finished, and not good to have the season finished. Would have loved to have won, of course, but good to have some time off, chill out with the family, see some friends. So go well.
Very, very good to hear. First question we ask on all these little catch-up Class of 2021s is just reflections, straight off the bat. Reflections on your first season in AFL.
I was pretty bloody stoked with my year, to be honest, because I came into especially coming into Geelong start of 2020, end of 2020, sorry. I was going, I hit in the VFL for a while, just improve, try to develop my game, and I was pretty prepared not to play any games at all. And then round 3 came and I was in the team and I was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? So it changed really quickly, but I felt like got some good games under my belt, got some learning experiences under my belt. So it was a good year.
Yeah, wow, it's super interesting that you sort of that you touched on that you were surprised how well you went, because I know us watching it, we're not surprised given how well that you actually when you played. So I guess talk us about it when it struck you that I might be. When did it strike you that you might be playing a serious amount of time in the senior team this year?
Earlier in the year, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one, but I had glandular fever. It kind of took me out of my pre-season for a little bit, so I missed a few practice games early on, and that was kind of like, at a stage I was thinking, that's my year done pretty much. I'll play in the VFL, I'll just improve. But then I reckon it was round 1 AFL game, we had a practice game, and I just had a ripper, just played really well. I shocked myself, shocked the coaches, and everyone's like, hang on, what's happened here? I was emergency the next week, and they're like, all right, let's see if we can replicate it. And I had a better game the week after. Like, righto, we'll chuck him in the ones, there he goes. But it was weird.
Mate, that sounds like an absolute whirlwind. But geez, when you're getting out on the field in that first game against the Hawks, round 3, that in almost biggest game of the home and away season for the Cats, that's just got to feel obviously so amazing. Just talk about that for a bit. I'm getting excited just talking about it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was hectic. It was funny going into the game because we got Scotty over here going, this isn't just any other game. This is one of our biggest games of the year. Then I've got some of the older blokes going to me, oh, come on, mate, it's just like any other game, mate. Just go out there, do the fundamentals. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on here? And running out onto the ground for the first time, with all the crowd, absolutely terrifying. It was awesome, beautiful and terrifying. It was that loud. 54,000, I think it was. It was, crazy game. I think I started on the ground, which was awesome. Got a touch early on, then just played from there.
How did your first touch go? Did you take a risky 45 kick into the middle, or was it a bit more safer than that?
I took a chest mark and went back, and I saw a man just 45 down the line. I just smacked it down. I'm not taking any risk here. Just smack it down the line, make it easy, effective disposal.
And obviously this episode's all about you, but I just want to talk about the result for the team in that game as well. Getting a win against probably your biggest rivals by, was it 4 points? 4 points, 5 points, something like that in your first game. That's just got to make the feeling even better. It's, amazing stuff, mate.
Yeah, well, that was awesome. I think we were up by 30 at one stage though, so it was a bit it was a bit scary. I think I was cramping real bad that game, cramping real bad. So when they were making the charge in the last quarter, I was on the bench getting the rub. So yeah, it was awesome to get the win, and awesome to win. Sing the song afterwards, of course. So yeah, it's great.
Mate, always special to play in the Easter Monday games. I'm sure the Easter Sunday roast was even sweeter knowing you're going to debut the next game. And then I think, so after round 3, so you spent a couple of games as the Medi sub. I mean, I know we've touched on this before, but we'll rehash over this. So what's it actually like being the Medi sub, and especially not getting Ashley to go out there and play?
Yeah, it's tough gig, I reckon. I think it's you're in a weird position just because you never want any of your teammates to get injured, but at the same time, like your own individual like drive wants you to get on the ground. Like, so you're sitting there kind of egging yourself on, like trying to get ready. And I came on once out of like 4 or 5 times a sub, and like it's hard to get into it. Like it's just because you've been sitting back for 2 quarters and then bang straight into it. It's a weird role. So I'm hoping I don't have to play it too many times if they've still got it over the next few years.
When you have the role on the field, probably should have covered this a bit earlier, but when you do get on the field, what kind of role did you play throughout the season, just for people who didn't watch you as keenly as we did?
Yeah, because I was going to say on that halves, because I'm a Cats fan, so obviously I watch Maxi very closely. And, I think, I saw you on a wing, half forward. I know definitely against Melbourne round 23, you played a bit of inside mid, mate. You were all over the shop.
Yeah, well, I think it was... Well, the game I came on as Medi sub, it was essentially where did our injury go? So Jesse Cameron got injured that day, so I went up forward.
Like for life?
I think... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not quite, but yeah, I missed a couple of goals, I think, so not quite like for life. But yeah, I really got thrown around. So I was playing forward. So early in the year, it was as a wing. I came in onto the wing in my first few games, and then I think we ran out of forwards. I think people were getting injured. I think we had Grind go down, Luke Delhouse go down in a few rounds. So I was playing VFL one day, and it's like, all right, you're playing forward. Let's just see how you go. And I went all right there. So they chucked me forward in a couple of AFL games. But then Stewie got injured. Tom Stewart got injured later in the year, and so they had to shift a couple of things around because he came out. He was late out, and they had to shift a couple of things around. They're like, all right, you're going to be playing inside mid all day tomorrow. And I'm like, hey, what? What do you mean? It's a bit of a jump, but yeah, just started playing inside mid, and I think I was there for the rest of the year, which was good. It's bloody tough, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I think 2 of your stronger games, like you play well against St Kilda, but particularly against Melbourne round 23, I think that was one of your strongest games. Do you think is inside mid where you see yourself? Because I think, I guess looking into you and your build, I think we spoke in the preseason, you said you were learning off Isaac Smith, and suddenly in the biggest game of the year, round 23, top of the clash, I see Maxi Holmes, buddy, leading the centre bounce attendances and absolutely dominating it.
Yeah, it was a weird one because, of course, I got thrown in there late. But yeah, I definitely think that's where I want to go with my footy, inside mid predominantly. That's where when I wasn't too small as a kid, I used to play in the midfield, of course, as everyone loves to play in the midfield. But yeah, I think playing, especially in those finals games, getting that midfield time in, that really just kind of gives me confidence for next year, just to go in and like in our exit meeting at the end of the year, just speaking about let's just go into this preseason and just work on that inside craft. Just come out the other end of preseason, like for round 1, just like stoppage beast. Hopefully, it's a lot harder, easier said than done, but yeah, hopefully it goes all right.
And mate, as we've touched on, you did drift forward a bit, and only class of 2020 member of Guest of the Show that kicked a goal this season. But before we get on to the goal, I just want to touch on, had a bit of a tough run before getting that first goal, I think. What was going through your head I think that you got a point in every game for 3 games before that goal. So were you really nervous probably about getting that first goal, or was it just like take as it comes?
I don't even know what was going on because I missed some shockers. Man. And I've had a hard run after it too. I've missed some shockers afterwards as well. But yeah, I think I'm like that Carlton game. Like he did in the Carlton game, and it was a pretty easy go in the end, which was good. But I missed one in the square that day as well. Like a shocker. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think I was that nervous about it. I think I just kept on missing. And yeah.
But yeah, I was at the game.
It was good to finally get one.
Yeah, I was at the game and it was funny. It was unbelievable. And I'll tell you what, it was funny because when you did the Insta takeover, you didn't answer the question, but I think it was your little brother left in a question about when are you going to improve your goal kicking. So your little brother was a bit harsh on you.
Oh, that was my brother.
Yeah.
A shocker. Yeah. He sends me this message like, oh, like, what are you doing on Instagram? Like, what's this? And then I'm like, oh, like I'm doing this Instagram takeover for these boys that I did a podcast with earlier in the year. And he's like, all right, I'll have to comment for you. I'll cook it. I'm like, nah. I'm not going to miss anything. I think I missed a goal that night as well, so I copped it again from him.
No. I'll just give a little plug, just quickly. If anyone wants to see that Insta takeover, it's on our highlights on our Instagram at WB Pod, as well as a few others. Definitely worth checking out. We love a bit of maxi time on the Instagram page. But that first goal, is that something you kind of reflect on now the season's done and dusted? It's like really, really cool that you got your first goal, or is it just like you'll get one eventually? Who really cares?
I think had I have like not gotten a game after that goal, I think it would have been like really, really cool. But I think I got up to like 12 in the end. So I don't know, it's kind of just one of those things that it came. I'm happy it came. I probably should have kicked a few more in 12 games, but if I had gotten to the end of the season with 12 games in my belt and no goals, I would have been very cut. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and looking at the games that you played, so you played in round 16, 17, and then you had a couple of weeks out, and then you came back in round 21 and you didn't really miss a beat. I don't know how much VFL football you're playing between round 17 and 21, but talk about being out of the side for those 4 weeks and then sort of coming back into the business end of the season.
Yeah, well, it was a tough gig because I think we're in lockdown at the time, like everyone, whole state. So we were lucky enough to get some like scratch matches going. So like we went up against, we had this game, I think when Geelong played Richmond, like the ones, I was playing VFL and we played Richmond and we had Adelaide players in our team and they had Adelaide players in their team. So it was like a bit of a mix and match, if you will. And like those games they were hard to bloody play in just because it's like, what are you playing for? In a sense, like it wasn't for points. It was just kind of it was a nothing game. So it was tough to kind of put my hand up and go like, look at me. Like, let's give it a team. I'm playing really well just because there was, I guess, not much to play for. So I think training was really important. Like just really taking it up to the ones players at training. And yeah, just thankfully I got back into the team, which I was happy about. I think we had a bad run of injuries late in the year as well, which probably helped my case. But yeah, hopefully next year COVID's done and VFL's back. So yeah.
Fingers crossed, mate, but I don't think it'll matter because you won't be playing too much VFL next year with how you went about it in the back half of the year. And so like we said before, you played in round 23 against Melbourne. After the siren, Max Gawn kicks a goal. Tell us about that match. I mean, it was surreal. I know that you were pumped heading into it because that's the day you did the Insta takeover, smashed down some Mad Max and you were ripe to go.
Yeah, that was a weird game because, as most people probably know, I think we were up by 44 points, I think it was, in the third quarter. Something ridiculous. Like we just had a really good run of it. And last quarter we said at 3/4 time, look, they're going to take risks here. Like there's nothing to lose for them. Like they're going to be third or they're going to be first. If they win, they're first. If they lose, they're third. So at this stage, what have they got to lose? They're just going to go for it, take risks. And I started taking these risks and I started on the bench and we're watching it going. So we got a couple of coaches behind us. I'm going, geez, it's bloody working for them. Like His risks they're taking, it's going well. I think they kicked like 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. Like I'd never step foot on the ground, and they kicked 3. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is tough. And I think I don't know what was going on, but I spent the last 10 minutes of the game on the bench as well. So I watched the whole debacle unfold with the Max scoring a goal after the siren. So it was an unfortunate loss. Like we would have loved to being minor premiers, but it's footy, stuff happens. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I was pretty gutting to see, even as a non-Cats fan, just as a big admirer of your own work, Max. That was it was pretty heartbreaking. But next week, the first final, you unfortunately didn't get a game for that one. Got games in finals after that. But what's the feeling like of? I think, like you were saying, Max played pretty well in that Melbourne game. Yeah.
Probably one of his strongest games, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say my best game for the year, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And then to be dropped after that comes as a bit of a shock.
Well, we had Mitch Duncan coming back, who's a pretty handy inclusion. So I was looking at it during the week going, he plays midfield. I might be in a bit of strife here. And then, got told I was dropped, which of course is not what you want to hear. But I think I still got to be like a part of the team. So I was emergency that week. So we all flew to Adelaide, like all did the quarantine together. So I still felt quite a part of it, which was good. But then, was just fortunate enough to get the call up the next week.
Fair enough. But like, so who actually delivers the message to you? We'll get onto some more positive stuff, I promise. But like, did you find out when you opened up the AFL team app on Thursday, or did they obviously speak to you a bit earlier?
No, well, I've found out that I've stayed into the team from the AFL app. So like, hadn't heard anything from the week before. I'm like, oh, geez, am I dropped? Am I in? And then look in the app. Oh, I'm in. When I've been dropped, they let me know beforehand. It's a pretty tough way to find out being dropped.
So obviously, unfortunately, the boys they lost against Port Adelaide, and then you're in the next week. Were you feeling sort of a bit confident? Like, the boys were a bit down. I'm a good chance to come back in for that for the semi-final.
Well, I think we had Mark O'Connor do a hammy that night against Port, and someone else might have had a niggle. So obviously, I knew there was going to be some sort of change in the team. I wasn't 100% confident I was going to be playing. I think on the Tuesday though, in the Tuesday leading up to the Friday, I got told, which is pretty early compared to usual. I think finals kind of everything gets set in stone a bit earlier. So I guess it was nice to be prepared early and get ready for a big game as it was.
Didn't have to check the AFL app.
No, I didn't have to check the AFL app. Although sometimes I did have to check just to see the other changes of the team.
Well, it's good to hear that they did realise their mistake very, very quickly and brought yourself in on very early. And I'm just having a look at the lineups for this Cats-Giants game. So in came Radigalia, you, Zach Guthrie, Zach Turin, out Luke Dalhouse, Mark O'Connor, Sam Simpson and Sean Higgins. But that finals win, that's pretty exhilarating, winning a final. I'm an Essendon fan. I don't really know what it feels like as a fan. But as a player, what's that feel like? And a pretty good win against the Giants as well.
Yeah, well, it was a good win. It was a hard-fought win, that's for sure. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch. And we'd lost pretty poorly against GWS in round 20, I reckon it was. So we lost pretty poorly. So it was one of those games that we came in going, like, we want to flog these guys because they were loving it. They loved beating us down in Geelong. They let us know about it. So that semi-final we wanted to really win. So it was scrappy. It was hard fought, but got the job done, which was awesome. And just winning that game was, as you said, just absolutely exhilarating. So
yeah, unreal, mate. And I guess everybody speaks about finals. It's another step up. I mean, obviously AFL has already stepped up in itself, but tell us a little bit about what finals footy is actually like to play in.
Yeah, ball zips around. I don't really notice it on TV, the difference, but ball zips around, like the heat is on. Everyone's like, you get the ball, there's someone on top of you immediately. Like, blokes just smash it into you. Like, if you get tackled, you're getting whacked. Like, I think even in the prelim final, like, I think Jack Viney got me at one stage, just whacked me into the ground. Like, oh, this is brutal. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a whole nother level up. Don't know why I don't play like that every week in the home and away season.
Do you feel like finals suits your game?
I reckon I got the experience now. I think just coming in as a young kid going into those finals games, it was a bit hectic. I think definitely the experience that I gained from that, like going into next year, I'd be ready to burst in a finals game. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very good to hear. Now you've got that on your experience under your belt, especially. But again, probably should have touched on this a bit earlier. But what do you reckon the reason was that you were getting so many games, and you were so surprised by the amount of games you were getting this season? What kind of skills and qualities do you have that kind of took you apart from the rest?
Yeah, I think as Lockie mentioned before, I kind of played a whole wide range of positions during the year. I think that really just helped the coaches decide that they want me in the team, just because like mid-game, if someone's struggling out forward, like they could put me down forward or something, I just had that little bit of versatility around it, so made it easier to coach, I guess. So I think that was lucky compared to other one-dimensional players who probably might have been better in one position than me but couldn't kind of go forward. So yeah, I guess that's probably the reason I'd say. Yeah.
Also, I think you've missed out the fact that you've got great speed, defensive pressure, add all that to the side as well, actually. Don't leave that out.
Yeah, I guess I was recording pretty decent pressure acts most games at the end, so that probably helped as well.
Yeah, perfect, mate, perfect. So you had that great win against GWS. You've played in your first final. You've more than met up to the expectations. And then next week against Melbourne, unfortunately, lost, mate. To speak a little bit about that game, especially the fact that you lost to them after the siren and the home and away season, and then they just sort of, to be honest, blew the boys out of the water a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, leading up to the game, we didn't even think about losing. Like, our kind of mindset was, I can't wait for 2 weeks' time. We're playing in a granny. We got 2 weeks just to chill out, relax. Like, after tonight, like, it's kind of, you can look at it as arrogant, but I think we're just trying to like look at the positive mindset. So you're going into the game, they came out flying. I think we might have kicked the first goal, but like they were just on top of us from the start. Their pressure was elite. It just felt like playing out there that they were everywhere. It just felt like there'd be a pack of Melbourne players around the ball, and then we get a boot to and kick it forward, and there were just a whole lot of Melbourne players again. I don't know what they were doing, but they played bloody well. And that stretch in the third or second quarter, I think, when they just went goal after goal, when Max Corn kicked that goal from 60, like that was the most ridiculous bit of footy I've ever been a part of. Like,
oh, yeah.
I think I would have done 6 centre bounces in a row. Didn't touch the ball once. Didn't lay fingers on a Melbourne player, and they just kicked 6 goals. It was absurd, yeah. So that was too good, but yeah, I'll get them next year.
Yeah, mate, fingers crossed. But do you reckon that right at the start of that answer you spoke about didn't even think about losing? Do you reckon the coach or whoever kind of put that mentality into you guys regrets putting that mentality into you guys, or is that something that you want to kind of keep next time you play a final?
I think it's a good mentality. We had the same mentality against Giants as well. I think we've got some really experienced blokes in the team that really drove that kind of mentality. It wasn't really the coaches as such. The coaches joined in on it, but we got blokes like Joel, who's played, I think it was 36 finals games, something ridiculous like that. Tommy Hawkins, Isaac Smith, who's won 3 flags. They kind of drove that mentality. We're not losing. We're playing in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be great. So I don't think we'd change that going into next year. I think just next time we'll win.
Mate, pretty simple answer. And now, obviously, found out after the game, mate. I don't know how much you can give us on this, but there was a virus going through the team, and I know I certainly can't play off a bad stomach. So, can you tell us a little bit about that and how bad it actually was?
Yeah, well, you know what? I was kind of like a little disappointed it did come out of the media a couple of days later, because it really came across as an excuse, which I reckon it was the difference for 30 points. It wasn't the difference for 80 points. Like, we didn't lose because we had the virus, but we had they didn't release in the media, so I won't say who got sick, but we had like 6 blokes go down in the days leading up to the game. So we had blokes like doing running sessions like on the day of the game just to make sure they could get up and play. And yeah, we had guys after the game like vomiting for 20 minutes. So yeah, it wasn't an excuse in a way. Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate to have a few blokes go down, but yeah, we still would have lost anyway. So it's what it is.
Speaking about Melbourne, obviously it's been 3 days since they won the grand final, and they've obviously had this wave of support from not just Melbourne fans, but I feel like a massive portion of the AFL community. Did you feel like that contributed to how just brilliant they were on the field against you guys, and even in the grand final? But obviously you speaking about the preliminary final because you played in it. Did that wave of momentum add something to their game?
Oh, I'm sure it did, but I think especially in our prelim final, it was less that they had a lot more fans than us, that it was more that a lot of people were against us. I think that semi-final against Giants, I've never heard a Giants crowd so loud. There were more Giants supporters out there than Geelong supporters, and I'm like, this just isn't right. What's going on out here? But yeah, for sure, that they were their fan base is bloody ridiculous. I remember when we played them in the home and away season at the MCG, they were so supportive and so loud for the Melbourne boys. But I'm sure that egged them on, but they're bloody good players. So I think we've got to give them credit that they could do it without the crowd as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, so in the aftermath of the game, there's been a little bit of discussion, about the Cats sort of changing things up, whether that's assistant coaches or game plans. Like, what's sort of going on with that?
It's probably bad to say, but I'm not really too sure of what the go is. We've been told that pretty much Matthew Scarlett and Corey Enright, they've been at the club for 20 plus years. Like, they just need a break. Matthew Scarlett needed a break. I think it's hard being at the top, and they've been coaching and playing at a club that's been at the top for that long. They're just a little burnt out. So Corey Enright's gone for a bit of a change of scenery, of course. Matthew Knights was the same. He was a bit burnt out, change of scenery. And yeah, Scarlett, of course, he stepped away from football completely for the time being. But change is good. We've brought in James Kelly already, who's a superstar of the Cats, of course, a former number 9. Really looking forward to that. He'll be great. So, I'm excited to see the other good people that we bring into the club. Yeah.
We've been incorporating a few listener questions into some of these Class of 2020 episodes. We got an email correspondence from Brett Frank. This was a good question. I thought it was definitely worth asking. So he says, "Hi Max, congratulations on your appointment to the Geelong Football Club. That's a great achievement. My question for you is, what do you think about the current situation of the game plan? Is it good enough, out of date, and more importantly, do we have the legs to deliver it?"
Well, to be honest, I can't really compare our game plans to other AFL game plans because I don't know any other AFL game plans. So this is the one. This is the one we've got. I personally like it. I think when we execute it perfectly, it works. And I think when we execute it well, it works. We can cut teams apart doing it. I guess. We probably do need to change it up because I think clubs like Melbourne were able to kind of expose us, kind of work us out. And it's the same thing for like Richmond, for instance. Everyone's kind of worked out how to beat Richmond this year. Of course, they had injuries as well, but their game plan probably needs a little reshaping, just as ours probably does as well. So yeah, the legs for it. We've got some good runners in the team, so yeah, I'd say we've got the legs for it.
That's good, and one of those particular good runners is yourself, of course, mate. But very interesting that this team has been spoken about so much as aging list. They're not going to have the legs to compete with the best teams for the next few years. And obviously, you just turned 19, didn't you? Yeah. So I think you were the only person under 22 years old who played 12 plus games. So there's, I guess, a potential, if everything goes to plan, for you to be the kind of face of face of the team, because there are going to be people retiring in the next few years, five or so years. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's exciting, I guess. I feel like if the club wanted me to be in that kind of position, I'd be ready for it. But yeah, on that retirement village and all that, I think one thing that needs to be said for it is that Melbourne, they had 3 blokes in the top 10 in the Brownlow. Our highest was 30th, Cam Guthrie.
Yeah,
I think that we've shown that we don't need the superstars, and we're still performing to such a high level. So I think we're getting hit hard in the media saying they're going to fall off a cliff, but I think the way that our club works, we're going to be fine, and we'll still be flying in 5 years' time when we've got all our young blokes in. We've got plenty of blokes under 25, that's for sure. So we've got some great blokes coming to the VFL, like Sam DeCone and Cooper Stevens, just off the top of my head. So yeah, I think we're set for the next few years. We'll be good.
No, I definitely echo that, and I think people are also forgetting that, three of the Cats' best players, 4 actually had injury interrupted seasons, whether it's Danger, Stewart, Cameron and Duncan, and so a lot of them missed out in the later part. They came back in the later part, so they weren't at their the best, whereas teams like Melbourne and the Bulldogs pretty much had the best 22s out there, which I don't think the Cats would have. They had pretty banged up at the end of the year, and I definitely echo your comments, Max. And my next question is, though, in terms of the fact that you are one of the youngest in the teams, and like Harper said, a lot of the players are 22 and older. Is it sometimes a little bit awkward being so much younger than the rest of the 22? Particularly because I know that anybody that's played sort of sport, where you're coming out playing footy or cricket, you're 17 making your senior debut, everybody's 28, or cricket or whatever, it can be tough.
I think I was lucky enough. We got the pre-season, which is good, so you kind of bond with people. I think early on it was awkward, but I think as I continued playing, it was good. I think one stage I actually asked someone, I asked Zach Guthrie and Asaf Radaglia, who are 2 of the younger guys in the team as well. I was like to him, do I seem young to you? Do you look at me like I'm really, really young? And they're like, yeah, you're really young, mate. I'm like, oh, right. I don't really feel like I'm young in the team, because I don't even know half the team's age, to be honest. If you ask me how old a few blokes are, I couldn't tell you. But it's literally smooth sailing. Yeah.
Just on this, actually, we've got a question on Instagram from, not an email this time, on Instagram from Joel Lay. That's where all the young people are, apparently. He asks, who are you close mates with at the footy club?
Quick shout out to Joel. That's actually Barry Stoneman's nephew. So
yep, good friend of the
Joel.
Show, Barry Stoneman as well. Lots of connections going on around here, aren't there?
Good mates to the club. Well, I've been really close with Shannon Neal, who was drafted last year, pick 33. Good mates with Sam DeConing, grind through playing with him, blokes like, but at the end of the year, of course, because I was playing blokes like Sav, Zach Guthrie, just Mark O'Connor. So yeah, everyone's really, really cool with the club. You literally hang out with anyone out there. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect, mate. Perfect. I think we've got one more of the season before we might move on to the preseason. But so you played against some of the top teams. Who was the best player that you played against?
Best player. It's a good one. I haven't really thought of this either. So,
because it's interesting. Denver. We spoke to Denver Granger Barras from the Hawks, and he was adamant. Christian Petrarca, he said, is underrated.
This was 2 days before the grand final.
Really? Yeah, right. Well, I feel like I'm a bad person to ask about this because I think the round 23 game when Clayton Oliver had 39 disposals or something, I didn't think he did too much. So I'm probably... I actually thought Sam Walsh played very well against us. I thought he was incredible. I think he kicked 2 ridiculous goals and had like 38 disposals. He was incredible. Clayton Oliver in that prelim final was pretty nuts. So yeah, I probably got Clayton Oliver.
Yeah, and just before we do move to the pre-season, one more question on the season. It's going to be a quick answer if you want. This is from another good friend of the show, Connor Payne. He asks for your best single moment this year.
My best single moment? Or I'll go with...
Yeah, best single moment this year. Go yours if you want.
I'll go my individual and the team. I reckon, like, of the teams, the best moment that I was a part of was Jake Kelwadashny's first goal. He'd gone on like 120 games at a goal. And he kicked the first against Giants. I just remember I was cooked after he kicked that. We've gotten ready for the centre bounce and I've just been going crazy. Everyone was going nuts. Like you see photos of Luke Dalhouse going absolutely psycho on colour. So, yeah, that'd have to be like the team kind of best moment. And I'd say my best moment, probably hard to go past the goal, I guess. That was pretty exciting. Good to get it in. Yeah, the goal. Yeah, I'm trying to think, but yeah, probably the goal.
All good, mate. No, that's a ripper moment. That's a ripper moment. And so we just got a couple more questions. So pre-season, mate, we can see that you're in your running gear. So you've obviously done a tremendous session. So what are you planning on working on in pre-season to sort of up your game for next year?
Well, I'm just trying to get fitter, stronger, I guess. That's pretty basic answer, I guess. But yeah, just trying to just run out games completely. I think I cramped a few times this year. So aim for next year, just have the ability just to run out games, sprint out games all day, get stronger in the upper body. Can't be skinny and frail going up against those big tanks like Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca. So yeah, just build up the frame, build up the legs, just yeah, especially work on that inside game. Really try to aim to be playing as an inside mid round 1, I guess. Yeah.
Well, mate, don't forget pickle juice if you're cramping. That's always a secret.
Actually, for some reason, doesn't want to work with me. I have it and I still cramp, so.
Fair enough. And last question. The last question that we ask on every episode, and we've done it through all these class of 2021s. Interesting to see if it's changed from your last episode, mate. Life philosophy. Any words you live by? Anything like that kind of you let guide your decisions in life to get very deep on you?
I have no idea what I said in the first podcast. No clue. Philosophies.
If you don't have anything, that's fair enough.
You know what? I definitely said this last time as well. I don't remember what I said, but I definitely would have said this. And I think just try to be like the best you can be. Like whatever you do, like every training session, every game, try to be like the best individual you can be. Like individual, like ability wise, like personality wise, just like be. Yeah, always be like show everyone the best of you, I guess. Yeah, it's my philosophy.
Mate, well said, mate. And I think that's all we've got time for today, Maxie. So thanks so much for jumping on.
Beautiful.
It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, do encourage people, if they haven't tuned in already, to check out that first episode we did with Max Holmes. Looking forward to catching up with you at the end of pre-season. But for now, wherever you tune in, this is the Green T-Shirt Brigade signing off. Thanks for listening to another episode. See you next time.
Thanks for listening again.
See ya.